Car engineers literally folded an engine in half and it changed everything forever. Not metaphorically, physically folded it. Two rows of cylinders, angled inward, sharing one crankshaft at the bottom. That shape, that letter V, is the reason some cars whisper and some cars scream, and most people have zero idea why. So let's fix that. Before the V engine existed, every engine was inline. One straight row of cylinders. Clean, simple, logical. But here's the problem. The more power you want, the more cylinders you need. Add enough cylinders inline and the engine becomes longer than the entire front of the car. A straight 12 is basically a hallway. Engineers needed a solution. So in 1889, Wilhelm Maybach and Gottlieb Daimler tilted two cylinders inward toward each other, created a V shape, and accidentally invented the layout that would dominate automotive history for the next 140 years. The angle of that V? It changes literally everything. Start with the V6. This is the engine that runs half the cars on the road right now. 6 cylinders, 2 banks of 3. At 60 degrees between the banks, a V6 is almost perfectly balanced. Smooth, efficient, compact enough to fit sideways in a front-wheel drive car. The fuel crisis of the 1970s made this engine essential. Gas got expensive overnight and suddenly nobody wanted a V8 anymore. The V6 gave you enough power without destroying your wallet at the pump. Lancia figured this out as early as 1950 with the Aurelia. A 60-degree V6 so refined that it embarrassed every other manufacturer on the planet. The rest of the industry spent 2 decades catching up, but a 90-degree V6? That's a different beast entirely. Wider. Inherently unbalanced. Engineers have to bolt extra spinning counterweights into the engine just to stop it shaking itself apart. Why would anyone bother? Because a 90-degree V6 uses the exact same tooling as a V8. Same factory equipment, cheaper to build. In mass production, saving $50 per engine across 1 million units is not a small deal. It is an enormous deal. So the vibration gets engineered away, and the savings go straight to the bottom line. Now the V8. Holy shit, the V8. There is no sound like it. That low, burbling idle at a stoplight, that explosion of torque when you plant your foot. The 90-degree V8, 2 banks of 4 cylinders, fires so evenly that it achieves almost perfect balance without any extra tricks. It just runs. The Small Block Chevrolet V8, introduced in 1955, became the most produced V8 engine in human history. It went into Corvettes, it went into muscle cars, it went into pickup trucks and police cruisers and ambulances and family sedans. Billions of cubic inches of pure American mechanical aggression. But the flat-plane V8 is something else. Regular V8 cranks offset their pins by 90 degrees. Flat-plane cranks offset them by 180. The result is an engine that revs like it's possessed. Less torque, more violence at high RPM. Ferrari built their road cars around this for decades. Ford put one in the Shelby GT350 Mustang in 2015, and the automotive world lost its mind. An American muscle car that screamed like a Ferrari. Nobody expected that. Beyond 8, things get genuinely insane. The V10 dominated Formula One in the 1990s, 18,000 revolutions per minute. Naturally aspirated. The sound at the track was so violent that spectators reported it as a physical experience, not just noise. Audi brought a V10 to the R8 supercar. Dodge built the Viper around a 8.3-liter V10 that prioritized torque so massive it could rip the tires off the car in 3rd gear. Same number of cylinders as the F1 engines. Completely opposite philosophy. Then the V12. 2 straight 6s joined at the crank. And because a straight 6 is already perfectly balanced on its own, a V12 is the smoothest engine configuration ever put into a production car. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, Rolls-Royce. At idle, the engine barely seems to be running. At full throttle, it doesn't explode. It surges. Like the ocean. Like it has unlimited reserve and no opinion about speed. It will simply keep going. And then Volkswagen said, what if we did 16? 4 banks of 4 cylinders. A W16. Bugatti stuffed it into the Veyron and made it produce 1,000 horsepower. Then they made it produce 1,500. The W16 is not a road engine. It is a statement that engineering has no ceiling if you are willing to spend enough money. So next time you hear an engine start, whether it's a rental car or a supercar, you're hearing the consequence of one decision made in 1889. 2 men tilted 2 cylinders toward each other at a weird angle. And nothing about cars was ever the same again. Drop a comment with your favorite V engine. Let's see what this community drives.